Three, two, one, let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the George Habib podcast. The topic we're going to talk about today is going to revolve around some clips that have been, going around Twitter or X lately, whatever you want to call it. And it has to do with like some young people kind of talking about their work life balance and how it makes everything seem hopeless. Naturally, that being the internet, it's produced a lot of debate online. A lot of people have been arguing from both sides, and it's become a hot topic. So hot that it's come to my channel. So, before we really get into the nitty gritty of the discussion on this, let's check out the clips. So, here we have this young lady. She looks to be in her early 20s, and yeah, look at her face, guys. She's just not having a good time. So, let's see what she has to say.
Why is it that I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live? 40 hours a week makes me $2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660. So I work 40 hours a week so I can have a 2-bedroom apartment and an extra $300 a month. Like, it doesn't cover my phone, internet, food. So not only do I not have any extra money, but just working makes me so exhausted that I don't have time either. Like, I get off work at 5:30, come home, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired that, like, anything that I need to do outside of work, I then just push off to like the weekend. And I'm like, I'm just too tired to do this after work. I'll wait until Saturday. So then I end up with so much to do on the weekend that ends up having to be split into 2 days. So I have to do stuff on both Saturday and Sunday. So then I don't get a day off. I don't get a day to relax. I don't get to decompress. So it is really like working 7 days a week constantly. And I don't want to do that anymore, right? Like, I don't care how poor and miserable I would have to be, but I literally can't have a place to live without this. Like,
So, guys, as you can see, this young lady, I feel bad for her. She's very distressed. It seems like she's having a very bleak outlook on life. And, like, let's look at what she's saying. She's working all these hours, 5 days a week, and it's taking up all her time, And I know people say you have the Saturday and Sunday to recover, but it's like you're working 5 days a week and then you only get 2 days to yourself. And those days you have to keep in mind is when you kind of have to make appointments because you can't make an appointment on the weekday because you're working and no one's really like opening their office past the work hours. So you kind of squeeze everything you have to do, chores and stuff on those 2 days. And she's also talking about how like she's earning all this money, which is like I guess $2,000 was a lot 10 years ago, but these days it's kind of nothing. And like she already said, most of it is going towards her rent, and that was like a lot of money just to live in an apartment. And then the rest can't even pay off her expenses, like her utilities, like electricity, internet, mobile phone, and assume groceries. I don't remember if she mentioned that. So yeah, she kind of feels like all her life is just going towards work, and it's not even giving her anything back except just this kind of like miserable limbo where she's going nowhere but she's miserable. And it's not just her. Let's check out the other clip that's here. So here we have another young lady, and let's see what she has to say.
I cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat all by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago, when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago, when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You could sit here.
So yeah, guys, in this one, it's less sad than the other girl. This lady's more angry and we could say passionate. And she's kind of complaining about the same thing, basically. And look, we can see from her vest, she probably works in like some chain like Walmart. And Walmart's got this stereotype that it's kind of the crappiest work conditions and doesn't pay well at all. And yeah, she's not happy. She's putting all these hours in. She has no time for herself. She's making money out of this. It's obviously it's a job, but she can't do shit with the money. She already says she cannot afford anything with the money and that she need outside help and she can't, live with this on her own. She also mentions how the older generations had it, particularly the boomers and I always forget what came before the millennials, because they could work these same hours before and live off it. And if we look at the data, that's pretty true. So now, yeah, let's just get off here. So, guys, to see where these girls are coming from, we need to look at the current state of the work life of the younger generations. And, I'm 29, I'm still a millennial, I'm 29, not 30 yet. And a lot of these girls, maybe in their early 20s. But the reality of a lot of people in our age bracket is this: every day, 5 days a week, we're waking up. We're either taking a commute to work, and work doesn't pay you for the commute, so that's extra hours off your life gone. Or if we're fortunate enough, we work from home. We do the same job every day. We deal with shitty clients. We deal with managers who, many cases, they just don't give a fuck about how you're doing. They just care about what they can squeeze out of you in terms of hours and production, I guess. And then it's the same like copy paste job every day, 5 days a week for the rest of our lives. And I know people always say, oh, there's raises and promotions, but off my personal experience, and it is anecdotal, but I hear it a lot these days. A lot of people out there just aren't getting raises and they aren't getting promotions. They're just stuck in the same job, feels like a dead end, and they're working and working the rest of their life. And sure, they've got the weekend, they can just have fun on the weekend. The weekend's just 2 days a week. So 5 days a week of my life is going to be dedicated towards this company, which frankly can replace me like that. They don't care. They can probably get someone cheaper, and they really make you feel like they don't care. And then I just get 2 days to recover from that. 2 days to recover from 5 days work, 2 days to catch up on sleep, 2 days to make appointments, 2 days to, I don't know, like have fun with friends if you have any. Just like 2 days, which is really a pitiful amount when compared to how much of your life is going to be dedicated to working. And guys, it's not even just like time off your life, it's the money you earn. As with those girls, the money you earn is worth nothing, especially if you live here in Canada where you got inflation, because the government, Trudeau, sucks at economics. He doesn't know how an economy works. Then we have taxes, because again, the government just keeps taxing, taxing, taxing. Those taxes never seem to go down anywhere, down. They never seem to lower, and they don't seem to go anywhere because the roads are still shit. The hospital lines are crazy. You got to wait all these hours in an emergency room, and like I'm personally don't seem to be benefiting from these taxes. And it's not that different in the States. Okay, different healthcare system, but again, not that different in the States where you got inflation and taxes holding you back. And then you've also got like the higher cost of living. So the government takes a big chunk of your paycheck. The dollar amount you're earning is not worth as much because inflation pretty much made it worthless. And now you got to spend more to buy things. And that's just everyday items. We're not even talking about necessities such as electricity, internet, food. which again are becoming more expensive and more difficult to access. They're taking a bigger and bigger chunk out of our salary. So once all that money is gone, what are we going to do with our lives? Are we going to plan vacations we can't afford? Are we going to like invest in a business we can't even fund? Or let alone like buy a house, start a family, like save for our retirement? No, it's looking pretty fucking bleak. And that is what is going on with the average work life of the younger generations. And guys, we know what the response is going to be. The response to these videos, to what I'm saying right now, is going to be the same copy paste response we've heard for decades. Oh, you guys in the younger generation are being lazy. Oh, back in my day, we had it a lot tougher. You can't even handle half the stuff I had to do back when I was your age. And we know who's really saying this. We know who's participating in the misery Olympics, and that is the older generations. Now, mind you, it's not all of them. There's a lot of people way older than me who are very sympathetic. A lot of my guests, for example, very open minded. But in general, the older generations, they kind of take a dismissive attitude towards what the younger people are dealing with. And then they always say, like, oh, I beat you in the misery competition. You cannot hold a candle to how miserable I was back in my age. Like they were so fucking proud of that. And to an extent, this is true. To an extent, the younger people, the younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, are fortunate in so many ways. Compared to the older generation, we did not have to deal with war. There is still war, but like we didn't have to deal with it as much as they did. We did not have to deal with diseases. We did not have to deal with polio. We did not have to deal with so many different issues that we can literally cure these days with like a pill or a treatment. Working conditions are much better now. Like employers and managers aren't allowed to smack us around anymore. We know they want to, but they're not allowed to. So, yes, these things have improved, and our parents and our grandparents have lived a harder life than we have. But here is where the difference is. Back in their time, life was shittier, work was shittier, but things were more affordable. Back in their time, a person could work a shitty job, even entry level, and still afford enough to actually have a mortgage, to actually start on a house. The house was small, but it was still a house, it was still their own thing. They were also able to have a family, marry someone, because that person didn't really have to give up a major career and they didn't have to work as well so that they could have enough income to survive. These days it's completely different. You cannot imagine a family being living on a single person's income. Now like both wife and husband have to like dedicate all their hours, pimp out all the time of their life for companies in order to have the bare minimum. Back in the day wasn't the case, and your parents have to admit that too. Life was harder, but success was easier. Work was shittier, but the money was more powerful. Purchasing power, look it up. So, there's just a lot of things back in the day that they don't have to contend with anymore. Now, we come back, we complain, we live in an apartment we don't own. We, take solace in a PlayStation or Netflix or junk food because we don't really have anyone around in terms of family to support us and take care of us. And yeah, we're not dying of famine or disease or pestilence, but we're just not happy because life seems to have lost all this meaning. And the boomers, the older generation, need to realize that. Because at the end of the day, they have to ask themselves, what's their legacy? What did they leave for the young people? What improvement did they leave for those who came after them? And not everyone has kids, but a lot of these people have kids. What is the world they produced for their children? Because legacy used to be a very important thing back then. You would have a father tell his son, "Son, my family has farmed this land for generations, and now I pass it on you, so you may pass it to your children." And then that person went like, "Son, Farmer, generations, you, children, pass to children. And then it's like son, land, children, go on. And then at some point it stopped. It stopped in the last few decades where it was like, why should I care about why I leave my kids? I need to focus on myself. I need to take care of myself. I cannot be a martyr to my children. When they're 18, I have to kick them out. The end. Bye bye. Go fend for yourself like I had to in my work life. So now instead of legacy, we have things like individualism. People saying stuff like it's okay to be selfish. Now, instead of parents saying things like, oh, I suffer, so my children will never suffer. So they will never have to deal with the shit I did back in my day. Now in the West, we have people saying, I suffered. Why shouldn't my kids suffer? I worked hard. Why can't they work hard and do their own stuff? We've kind of like completely dropped this facade anymore that people are trying to preserve the world for future generations. Instead, we have a time period where, let's be honest, it's become full on individualism and everyone out for themselves. We now live in a world where instead people value you not by blood, not by humanity, not by any other like benign or goodwill sense, but instead of what they can squeeze out of you. So I want to ask the older generation, like, what do you expect will happen out of this? We already have a lot of older people who engage in this kind of behavior where they left nothing behind for their kids. They sold the ancestral land for like a condo in Florida. They sold the ancestral land for like some vacation on a cruise, and they left nothing behind for their children. And now when they become old, and we're back in the day, people died in their house with their kids and their grandkids all around them, like loving and praying and happy. Now people are dying alone in nursing homes. Now we have 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds all by themselves in studio apartments and dying there. Why? Because their kids don't want to see them anymore or they don't have kids. Why would I, if I was a kid, and fortunately, this is not my case. I love my parents. They did their best for me. They're trying to leave something behind for me and my sisters. But here in the West, totally different story. Why would I see my parents after they threw me out at 18, after they didn't leave anything for me, after they sold the nice car grandpa left me in his will? Why? In the end, guys, like this kind of behavior, this kind of like individual, exploitative, selfish behavior, it's going to catch up to us. And again, whereas back in the day, these older generations had a harder life, they still had family behind them. They still had their parents to support them. They still had like cousins who would hire them. They still were able to like come together and pool their resources and support each other through like the hard times and the good times. Because the truth is, humans are social animals. The world is a very negative place, and we all need to come together to survive. So now in this generation, like those two girls you saw, I don't know what's going on in their background, but I know with the younger generations, there's like more like, people with like lacking support from their families, more individualism, and the end result is not good. And guys, let's be honest. Probably said that a lot right now. Let's be honest, but let's look at some things. A lot of us are fucked these days, the younger generations, because we followed our parents' advice, because we followed our grandparents' advice, because we played by the rules. And when they played by the rules back then, they got the reward. We play by the rules, we don't get shit. It sets us back. Back in the day, university used to be valued. A university degree was a worthwhile thing. It got you ahead in your career. Now let's be on. Jesus, I need to stop saying that. Now let's look at the facts and see university degree isn't worth shit. I did the rule. I played by the rules. I played out what was laid before me. I went, did my bachelor's. I did my master's. I'm still struggling. I'm competing with people way younger than me who didn't do all those things, who just started way earlier than me. And who told me to get a university degree? The older generation. Who tells us to save all the time? The older generation. Saving doesn't mean shit anymore. So, guys, we need to stop this misery Olympics. We need to stop shitting on the younger generation, and we need to stop, trying to be individuals. It's not working out. We need to leave something behind to our kids. We need to support them all stages, all steps of the way, as much as we can forever. We can't just dump people at 18 years old and like be surprised when they turn into junkies and porn stars. You know, enough of this competition. We need to focus on what's good for us. What's some things we can do? Number one, workout. I say this all the time, workout. It's a change you can do right now. You feel a lot better. You look a lot better. And when you feel a lot better and look a lot better, you can do a lot better. You can open your business. People like looking at you, so they'll always want to be around you, including higher ups who will want to promote you. And you know, you just feel a lot greater. And we need to build networks. We need to bring back the family unit. We need to bring back these communities who support each other in the tough times, and it's not just like we support a person, they achieve the peak of success, and then they leave us behind like we're trash. No, it's got to go back and forth. And then when communities become stronger and when things become more traditional, things get a whole lot better. We find a nice partner who can support us with good values. We start a family and we take care of our kids so much that when it becomes time for us to be taken care of, they will take care of us. They won't just dump us in a government run nursing home where our only support is a shit pension, you know? And it's not just blood. We need to help each other. This individualistic, materialistic, boss dude, boss girl, like I don't need anyone else in my life. It's not working out. Look at those two girls in the clips. They look miserable. Look at the people my generation. They are miserable. Their jobs are leading nowhere. Life feels pointless. Yeah. So when you see these people complain, guys, just show some empathy, give some support, and make it better. Anyways, that's all I have to say today regarding this. I hope the video comes out as nice as I think it did. And everyone, take care and work on yourself. If you're not happy, you have to make a change. We are here to struggle on the path to success. We are not here to suffer and stay where we are and be miserable. The difference should be very apparent to you. So, do something based on that. And guys, if you haven't already done so, please like this video, share the channel, subscribe to the channel, because doing this helps us grow. The more we grow, the more topics I can cover and the more guests I can bring in for you guys. Have a great day.